How do we get out of the slump when we are in a depressed mood or nothing is working and nowhere to go and mentally tired, deprived? How can you get out of it? Yesterday I was a bit of like that, and then I thought various things. And this morning, taking another day, I'm in a much better spirit, but I thought I wanted to capture the essence of what this is because we all go through that. If you're very young, maybe you may not, because if you're 6 or 5 or 3 or 8 or 10 years old, your energy is so much there, and so much curiosity. Maybe not all the time, but that's the image that I have. But as you get older, sometimes we feel like hitting the head onto the wall. And I was feeling like that, not quite clear what's the reason, so I have to revisit. So what I did was to go back to my past and how many times I had, things of that nature. The big ones and small ones, and the big ones I can think of, I could count maybe 3, 5 of them. And I want to first talk about it, and I want to talk about how I went through it, finding some experiential wisdom or somehow managed to get out of it, and then maneuvered my way of life going forward. Not a smooth, ride, but up and down. I'm sure that's what happens because that's what life is about, in my view. And we want to be strong and be able to process it and learn the lessons out of the past and figure out the way out into the future until we die. So, my past, one of the experiences I remember vividly is when I was thinking of leaving the company. This is when I was with a company in Japan, big company, and I was into the engineering business and got into some training in management. And I couldn't figure out what to do. I was out at lunchtime to a temple nearby, and there was a big iron vase, huge, as tall as maybe half of my height, and there's full of water, and I saw a goldfish, one goldfish, just quietly sitting there, just swimming there, not moving much. Looking at that, I felt like I was one of them. And I'm in somewhere, it's surrounded by the walls, and I don't know how to get out of it. That's one example. Another example was when I lost lots of money in the stock market, and I was in New Zealand and fly fishing at the time. But I was pretty much in tears, thinking back what I may have done, all the hard work and what happened with the money. The third example of some difficulty was the divorce. And the fourth, maybe that's happening now a little bit, is to redefining my way into the future at the age of 31. I have some general sense, but I still have some up and downs. So I was reflecting for those reasons. And each of them, I'm happy to say that I could figure the way out. How I did that? So that was the question. The way I could think is that if nothing works, you try this and that, and even after that nothing works, you need to be quiet and centered and grounded and not to do much of anything. And stay still and revisit. If I use the analogy from Zen or meditation, it's like, or religious or spiritual way of expression, it is as if to find the root of who we are, the reason of existence, and the energy and the passion and the liveliness that we can identify with, or to find that if we feel like it's gone. And one of the way from meditation I know how to do it is not focus on thinking too much. You can do all of that as much as you want. I did. And it doesn't work, so you are in that state anyway. So what do? You can think further, you think differently, and read another book or whatever. Anyway, it's good to have a break. Focus on your breathing. Yeah, that's right. One of the other experience I didn't mention in my past from that hard time was when I was in meditation, actually. This is 10-day course, Vipassana. And every day I'm sitting almost 12 hours, and this is the 8th day in the afternoon. And before that, I had gone through all the pains and suffering and all the interesting experiences. It's hard to explain, but on the 8th day in the afternoon, I came to the point that I need to be out of this pain, this place. I cannot keep on doing this. So I was at the bottom of everything. That's what I felt. I needed the emergency, ambulance to come pick me up, almost like that, because I felt so much pain. But I was determined, at the age 52 at the time, I believe, and I was determined to go through it. So my body was shaking and sweating all over and painful. And then I thought about, is it because I'm trying to get out of the pain? I have this pain. And when that little thought popped up, something happened. And my body get loose, and all the energy flew throughout my body as if I was in the plasma, the energy field. Whole liveliness came back. And that lasted 5-10 minutes. Twirl of light and energy particles. Anyway, that's an extraordinary experience, and not to point that everybody should go through it, but that's just one case of going through the barrier. So, well, maybe this is a philosophical talk a little bit. Being alive means we go through the hurdles, the difficulties that's given. It's just as if we are born out of the dust of the universe. It's unbelievable that we came to the point that we can talk and listen and think and do all sorts of things. That itself is a miracle. So if we reach out the cause of that law that makes this to happen and be the vibration, the energy field of the liveliness, that's where we are from, and we have that going on. Maybe not so much in the brain sometimes, but all the cells have the element of that to make it happen. So they work together to make it happen, to be alive. And without our thinking that happens, so beyond thinking, there's some fundamental at the ground level when we can center ourselves to that level and breathe and listen to the vibration, activities in the cells and so forth. Maybe funny expression, but that's what happened in the meditation. And that's what we need to do when we are lost, to get back to the root of who we are. It's not we anymore. There's no identity, but just the energy field. And Eckhart Tolle talks about liveliness or something like that, and spaciousness. I like that expression. I feel that. And if you are in that state, it's like in the zone state of being, zone. You are in it. And you let go of the thinking and let go of a trying, let go of escaping from the pain, whatever that is, and accepting it. Something happens. Oh, there's another example of my going through a little depression. That was when I was told, this is like 5 years ago, when the doctor told me that my glucose level was a little too high, A1C they call it. And so he said I should, puncture my, the fingers to get the glucose level and all that. I have to do that. And I didn't like to do it. So I was suffering. Oh, my life is going to be changing so much. And then I studied a lot, day and a half passed, what is the way, how you deal with it, and what kind of a thing we can do, eat and exercise, whatever. And going into it deeply, and I realized that, okay, I can do it. I can do the exercise, I can change my eating habit and everything. I know it's not easy to not eat pizza or something sweet, which I like, but I decided I can do it. Maybe because I've gone through that kind of monk-like life in meditation for 10 days, 10 times or more. And okay, that's fine. I just live like a monk, centered to my being, and live truthfully. And this is just the guiding principle that I have to do instead of me, eating anything I want. So I accepted it. 85%, 90% of the place in supermarket, I don't need to go. I just focus on 10%, 50% of the area to pick this and that. And I studied from the internet what to do, and I figured out in a day and a half. So I cleared the mind so that I'm not into fighting against, but accepting and moving forward. So each of the lessons the occasions that I went through has the similar notion of acceptance and free your mind so that something happens. If I may say something about what I mean by something happens, it's as if all cells of neurons and mind and body, everything in my existence ruptures, comes out to come up with a solution. And I studied Zen and Buddhism. I found that that's the kind of expression that someone can describe the moment of enlightenment. You push your best and something happens. I believe we are going through it as we live. We may not notice it. I believe every one of us may have had such an experience. So, okay, we are lost. Nothing new, because that's part of life. Delusion, this way and that way, and you hit the wall. Maybe the ego is the reason, maybe some circumstance from outside, or the health reason, or relationship, or the money, whatever that is, that happens because we live in this turbulent world. Maybe the society looks so crazy of all the things happening in the political scenes or the wildfire, climate change, whatever that is, and we feel depressed. What's going on here? Any instance, whether it's individual's case or family or society or the company or relationship or health, whatever that is, we are bound to hit that. So let's be honest about it. Let's be made sure so that everybody has some skills and ideas that we can process. That's why we are here. So we have to find that. How to find it. Go back to the root of it. Mind is busy. Let's have the mind calm and quiet. Get into the breathing. Touch the liveliness, being alive. Here's one quick idea that I can share. I may say something about this elsewhere. In meditation, I figured out one thing. You sit still for a long time. Well, it doesn't matter actually. If you sit 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you can still do it. But one of the ways to get to that root, as I call it, is as you sit quiet, hopefully your spine straight, and calm your mind. Focus on your breathing in and out. And you see the breathing go slower and slower, almost stopping at sometimes. And your mind pops up and say this and that. Okay, let that be. But one little skills and idea that I can share is that when you are sitting still and those thinking comes up and you want to let go of it, your mind need to be still, but you're still moving. And when that happens, breathing may help, but one other thing that I can suggest is just move your spine 1 millimeter, this way or that way, maybe twisting, almost not noticing from outside. And then see how the body may be responding to it. And you start to see the energy field changing around that area where you are shifting or twisting the spine. It could be anything, but I'm just using as a spine as a case. And then you go back deeper into sensing that, and quietly and sitting quiet, occasionally twitching or twisting. Now, again, I may talk about this elsewhere, but if you learn the skill of it, you're getting closer to the being and be aware of what's going on as it is, not in your imagination, but in reality, the liveliness. When you are young, you are full of liveliness. As you get older, the energy field may go weaker, but you want to revisit that to fight against all the law of entropy, all the difficulties that can come. At the beginning, you have lots of energy to break through. Toward the end of your life, as you get older, or you're beat up in the organization, the company, and the work, it may be weakened. So you need to, in my view, get touch with that source of energy that is life, living inside of us, in all the cells. And if we can connect to that, something happens. It's not you, it's the nature prevailing as it is. And one way of that expression may be just that I call waku-waku, excitement, or some plasma-like light and interesting phenomena, or liveliness, or spaciousness of who you are. And in that state, something self-organizes, realign ourselves to the core of our being so that you can face the difficulty, even the physical pain, accepting it. It may take not a few minutes, but 2 days to go through it. But be observant. It's kind of like a biofeedback that you can relate to yourself, know thyself. And remain calm, quiet. All the noise, chatters in your mind, let it come, let it go through. Just think, when we die, what you want doesn't happen. You have to give up. So this is a lesson of how to die in a peaceful manner and a smile on your face. And you may even listen to the bird singing. And beautiful sky. Whatever. Maybe the sense of love. Peace. No guarantee, but it can happen. So hopefully, it's just a rundown of my random thought, perhaps. But if there's a person here, anyone listening to this, I'm with you. We are all going through this. Let's figure this out. Each of us has unique talent. We don't have to be someone else. We want to express what we can, the best we can. And we should be able to find a way. Why? Well, that's the whole point of living our life. As we find, let's move on and be courageous to realize what we can in our life, whatever form that may be. Thank you.